Last month, I lost track of a guy. Not lost touch, lost track. He used to be in the group chat every day, cracking jokes, busting balls. First guy to show up if you needed a hand moving the couch. Then he got quiet. We all noticed. Nobody called. 3 weeks later, his sister posted something none of us wanted to read. I'm not telling you that to bum you out before the show even starts. I'm telling you because that's the real cold open tonight. Not a bit, not a bumper sticker. The guy used to make the whole room laugh, and then he didn't. Before I go one more sentence, if you are in it right now, tonight, while you're listening, 988, then press the number 1. Or you can text 838-255. You don't have to be enrolled in VA care. You don't need a service-connected anything. You don't need a reason good enough. Make the call, then come back and finish the show. America loves the easy part of supporting veterans. The ball caps, the bumper stickers. Thank you for your service. Buying a beer for the old guy at the Applebee's and the Vietnam hat. Standing up at the game when they say, "Would all veterans please rise?" And that stuff is fine. A little respect never hurt anybody. But a standing ovation at a baseball game doesn't mean a damn thing to a guy sitting alone at 2 a.m, wondering why he survived everything overseas, just to come home and feel completely useless. The yellow ribbon on a minivan doesn't mean anything to a guy in his garage drinking himself stupid because the only thing louder than the silence in his own head. I'm Tug, and this one's about the war after the war, the one that follows you home. This is part 1 of 3. Tonight is why it happens. Next week is what we do about it. And then the following week will be about the rebuild. I'm splitting it because I'd rather do this right in 3 pieces than half-ass it into one. And because I'm not going to speed run a subject that already taken people I know, I'm also not doing the government brochure version. I can't stand that crap. Holistic wellness framework, whole health model. Talk like that long enough and you want to knock yourself out with a baseball bat. Because the guys we're talking about don't talk like that. They don't say, "I'm experiencing emotional dysregulation." They say, "I'm tired. I'm done. I can't shut my head off." Nobody gets it. My family would be better off without me. That's when the hair on my neck should stand up. That's not somebody having a bad day. That's somebody starting to disappear. So why does a man survive boot camp, deployments, bad leadership, bad knees, bad marriages, and a decade of paperwork, and then lose the fight in his own house? That's the question. It deserves more than a slogan. For years, the number was 22 a day. It was on shirts, bracelets, hashtags. Guys did 22 push-ups, marched 22 miles. Awareness matters. But numbers turn into wallpaper. You hear them enough, they stop punching you in the chest. The VA's official count is 17 and a half a day. A group called American Warrior Partnership ran a study called Operation Deep Dive, and the number is actually 44 because they count suicides plus what they call self-injury mortality, overdoses, accidents that probably weren't accidents. I'm not here to play accountant with dead veterans. It doesn't matter which number is right. What matters is that the gap between those numbers is full of guys and gals who didn't leave a note, didn't get the label, but sure as hell stopped fighting to live. So the real question isn't how did they die? It's when did they stop living? When did the jokes stop being real? When did I'm good become a lie. That's where prevention actually lives. Not at a funeral, not in the folded flag. 6 months earlier, a year earlier, and the guy is still here, still reachable, just already drifting. Everything else tonight is that drift, where it starts, what it looks like from the outside. You don't know what you're looking at. I don't think civilians get this part. In the military, your life might suck, but it's got structure. You know where to be, what to wear, who's in charge, who your people are. Even the ones you hate are still your people. Then one day it ends, and the world just keeps spinning. Nobody pipes you ashore anymore. Nobody cares that you used to matter. The phone stops ringing. Uniforms go in the closet. And some 24-year-old HR kid asks you to explain how your military experience applies to team-based workplace collaboration. Brother, you once kept a multi-million-dollar system running on 3 hours of sleep and pure hatred. You can handle her spreadsheet. But they don't see that. In the service, you matter to the machine, even when you hated the machine. Civilian life hands you 47 boxes to fill out and calls it a fresh start. And here's the part that gets missed. This isn't about being broke or unemployed. I've known guys with their whole American starter pack: house, job, wife, kids, truck, grill, everything we're supposed to have. And they tell you they felt like a ghost walking through their own life. That's what useless does. Not unemployed, useless. A man without purpose starts rotting from the inside while he still mows the lawn and shows up at Thanksgiving. And if nobody helps him find the next mission, the silence starts answering the question for him. Everybody talks PTSD and combat trauma, and we should. But chronic pain, it's its own monster, and it does not get enough airtime. And that's not me guessing. That's VA's own numbers saying that among veterans who died by suicide over the last few years, the risk factor that showed up most often was pain. Not the thing everybody assumes: pain, bad knees, bad back, nerve damage, feet that feel like broken fucking glass, sleep that never comes, and paperwork that makes you want to put your head through the drywall. Pain changes a man. Short fuse, isolation, patience gone, hobbies gone. Used to run, lift, carry gear, jump out of the truck, work through injuries because the mission came first. Now you're sitting on the edge of the bed, fighting to get your socks on, feeling like busted government equipment. The humiliation is real. Then stack bad sleep on top of it. And you've poured gasoline on the fire. You cannot hurt every day, sleep like garbage every night, and expect your mind to stay squared away. That's not weakness, that's biology. When a guy in chronic pain starts pulling away, that's not him being grumpy. He might never say the word suicide. He'll say, "I'm sick of this. Nothing helps. I just want it to stop." Listen for that. Sometimes the thing he wants to stop is the pain. But if he can't separate the pain from himself anymore, he starts thinking the only way to kill one is to kill both. And that's where people die. Relax. I'm not pretending veterans invented drinking. Americans run on caffeine, alcohol, and unresolved childhood trauma. But our community's got a special relationship with it. Celebration, coping, bonding. I don't want to talk about it. Pour another one. Starts harmless: a beer after work, a bourbon to sleep. Then the edge shows up early in the day until it's not a drink after a bad day. It's a drink so you can have a day at all. Mix that with pain meds or sleep meds, and now we're somewhere real. Guys who don't leave a note, don't say goodbye, just slowly stop caring how much they drink, how fast they drive, whether they wake up. The paperwork says accidental. Everybody who knew him says he's been gone for a while. Sit with that sentence. He's been gone for a while. Physically alive, emotionally checked out. Still breathing, but already gone. Not every crisis looks like a guy crying with a phone in his hand. Sometimes it's the guy joking the loudest, buying everyone drinks, giving away his tools, saying, "Don't worry about me." That phrase right there, worry about him. A lot of guys come home, but they don't really come home. The body comes home, the boots come home. The guy he used to be might still be somewhere else. The family feels it before he admits it. Quiet, angry, distant, sleeping in another room, sitting in the garage for no goddamn reason. Everybody starts walking on eggshells. Resentment builds, communication breaks. Eventually, it's divorce, custody, child support, the house gone, the dog gone, and the kids gone half the time. Now he's in an apartment surrounded by boxes, eating gas station food, staring at a picture of his life he thinks he destroyed. Old school guys especially tie their whole identity to being the provider, the protector. And that falls apart. They don't just feel sad, they feel erased. And shame moves in right behind it. Shame says, "You failed. You're nothing now. They're better off without you." That voice is a fucking liar. But when a man is alone, broke, hurting, and ashamed, lies start sounding like facts. I'm not saying every marriage should be saved. Some relationships are toxic and should end. But when a veteran loses that family structure, his risk goes through the roof. And that's exactly when his people need to show up. I'm going to try not to turn this into a 45-minute rant that makes my blood pressure visible from space. There are good people in that system. Doctors, counselors, staff who generally give a shit. But the system itself can be a meat grinder. Appointments take too long. Claims take too long. Everything needs another form, another login, another phone call. And if you're already depressed and barely functioning, a bureaucracy that makes you feel like you're begging for scraps is the last thing you need. We tell guys, reach out. Okay, then what? They reach out and get put on hold. Get an appointment 3 months out. Get told to download an app. I'm not against apps, but you cannot app your way out of a man wanting to die. At some point, another human being has to give a damn in real time. And here's the number that should stop that argument cold. Of the veterans who died by suicide in 2023, 61% were not receiving VA health care in the last year of their life. 61%. 6 out of 10 never made it into the building. So when people say the VA needs to do more, fine, sure. But most of these men were never in the system to begin with. They were in a house, in a garage, in a group chat, which means the resource that reached them first isn't a clinic. It's us. I want to be careful how I end this one. I just spent about a half an hour walking you through every way a man comes apart. And I don't want anybody shutting this off thinking it's a foregone conclusion. It isn't. Every single thing I described tonight is survivable. I know guys who went through all of it and are still here, being pains in the ass at breakfast every Sunday. Here's what I want you to take out of part one. Not a statistic, a sentence. He's been gone for a while. That's what people say at the funeral. And the whole point of tonight is that there's a stretch of road, sometimes years long, between the drift and the ending. The stretch is where you get to do something. Next week is that something. The direct question and how to ask it. The strong ones who scare me most. Access and distance during a bad night, which is the part nobody wants to touch. And what to say when you're standing in a man's driveway with no idea what to say. Between now and then, do one thing. Think of the guy you haven't heard from. Not the one you saw last week, the one who went quiet and you figured he was busy. You already know his name. You've thought of him somewhere in the last 30 minutes. Text him tonight, not tomorrow. One more thing. Normally, this is where Salty Seed Bag goes. Not tonight, because I'm not going to make up a letter or read a letter about this subject. So instead, I'm asking for the real ones. I want you to call 1-833-OSB-SHOW. Tell me about the one you lost. Or better, tell me about the one who showed up for you. The stubborn bastard who wouldn't leave. I want those. We'll run them. And if you're one of those who's been drifting, again, dial 988 and then press the number 1 or text 838-255. There's a chat at veterancrisisline.net. If talking out loud isn't in you tonight. No enrollment, no diagnosis, no reason good enough required. You just have to make it to somebody. Take care of your people. Take care of yourself. Part 2 next week. This is Tug. Stay salty, you magnificent bastards.